So my name's Philippa. Regav, thank you for the great introduction. And yeah, I'm going to be talking about TikTok. If we were doing this in person, I'd ask for a show of hands who already is on TikTok, who knows about TikTok. But we can't really do that. But I'm going to assume you've all kind of heard of it. Some of you may be more addicted to it than others. I am in the latter. And so I'm going to start with the basics and then move on to how some content creators are doing science-specific outreach and engagement using the app and what works and what doesn't. So what is TikTok? So it's a video-based platform. The videos are typically short. They can be up to 3 minutes. And it's predominantly mobile-based as well via an app. So yeah, the videos are always in portrait. And the key interaction with the app is scrolling. So you scroll to look through the videos. Users post videos that can be edited within the app itself. So the app has a really good range of editorial tools that will allow you to make content that looks good and works well with the app. And it provides audio as well, which is really good when it comes to avoiding copyright issues. Unlike other social media apps, it hasn't changed too much. It's still quite young compared to other social media beasts like Twitter and Facebook, but it doesn't change too much because the format it has of the videos is working really well. And videos that do well on the app include everything and anything, but it's usually sketches, vlogs, dances, video clips. It also has a live talk function. And over the past few months, it started integrating paid content into there as well. So it is becoming slightly more commercialized. So one of the things that makes TikTok amazing is it has this algorithm. So when you open the app, you can follow creators, but it has what's called a For You page. And that is an amalgamation of videos that are from creators you've already said you like, and also videos the app thinks you like, so you'll never run out of content. So I've taken a bit of a risk and I've recorded some of the videos that appear on my For You page, so you can kind of see the range of videos that come through. So just a bit of background, I predominantly engage with videos about Taylor Swift, obviously, because I am an angst-driven millennial. Alongside some video clips that you'll see in there of TV programs I watch, and more content that's popular overall. There'll be a bit at the end about, like, for example, Adele's live concert on Sunday. So I'll show you now. Right.
Hogwarts is threatened. Mend the boundaries. Protect us. Do your duty.
I hate him! I hate him! I feel like I'm never...
The first rule of Marvel, don't talk about Marvel.
Don't talk about Marvel.
Oh, it's a shame Andre had to miss this. He loves bus tours. Hello. Andre!
Up to 85%.
What the hell?
Stop saying that.
What the hell? What the hell? What the hell?
One moment, I have to buzz you in.
I got it. Thanks.
Don't be shy, girl, be bonanza.
Wait, babe, why are you wearing a fur coat in that heat?
Honestly, fashion. Do you know what I mean?
Wow.
Question. What kind of bear is best?
That's ridiculous.
False. Black bear.
Hey, why is everyone mad at Jake Gyllenhaal? It's not that bad.
Ugh.
What? Alex, come back! What about the kids?
Bedtime.
So you can see there the eclectic mix that appears on my For You page. I had to film that several times because some content got through that was definitely not suitable for an audience at Thursday at 11 a.m. But yeah, you can see that you've got videos here that are from users I don't subscribe to. You've got a hashtag element at the bottom, which means that users can tag their videos and they can appear to other audiences. Tiger pig dance, I'm not really sure what that one is. But yeah, so that's the For You page, and it's probably one of the biggest driving forces as to why TikTok's so popular. And the numbers don't lie. So these numbers are going to like absolutely blow your mind because they blew mine. So it has over 1 billion monthly active users. So to compare that, Twitter has only 397 million. So if you think about how integral it is for brands and organizations to have a Twitter account, you know, we're talking multiple magnitudes more of people are on TikTok. Users spend an average of 52 minutes per day on the platform. So that's an hour, but this increases to 80 minutes for people aged, I say people, children aged 4 to 15. And 60% of TikTok users are Gen Z. And it's not easy to quantify because TikTok engagement can vary between views and likes and comments, but generally content does see a higher rate of engagement compared to other social media channels. And I'll have some examples of that towards the latter half of the presentation. So what content works well? So because of the diverse audience, because you've got 1 billion people there, no topic really is off limits. TikTok has a very strong filter for keeping content that's explicit off, although people have kind of worked around that. But generally, if everything's done in a family-friendly way, people talk about all sorts of things on the app. So if it's interesting enough, it'll be well received. And it's actually really interesting to see how some topics have become more widespread and people more interested because they found it on TikTok. But one of the things that works well with TikTok is trends. So there'll often be waves of activity of videos that follow the same sort of format, using the same sort of sound, or same sort of makeup of the video to contribute to the ongoing joke. So the current one at the minute is when Bestie says FaceTime, but it's not actually FaceTime. So you saw one of those in the For You video I showed you earlier. But let me show you some more. So the format is, you know, you're on FaceTime with your mate and it's meant to be funny, but she's clearly having a breakdown. So
I hate him! I hate him! I feel like I'm never gonna...
So the running joke is obviously you're preparing for a funny talk and it's not happening. So people will use the same audio to mime their little sketch alongside it, and it does really well because it's really funny. But it's also really simple.
I hate him! I hate him! I feel like I'm never gonna...
And then my favorite.
I hate him! I hate him! I feel like I'm never...
So you get the idea. And these formats will change from, you know, some that make sense to many that do not. So what content works well? There's lots of niche areas as well. So you may have the memes and the jokes and the trends, but there are so many niche areas that work well and have massive audiences. Some that TikTok users may already recognize is paint talk, where people mix paint, drain talk, where people unblock drains, cemetery talk, where people dig graves, through to more pop culture-esque, such as Marvel, Harry Potter cosplay, some of which you saw on my For You video. And one of the things I'm going to point out now is see how their subscriber number, so the number of people who follow them, doesn't necessarily tally to video views. The engagement rate is off the charts. So in social media, we'll often say, okay, I've got a Twitter audience of say 50,000 and my tweets are being read on average 1,000, which is for an engagement rate is quite good, even though it's, you know, less than 1%. But TikTok has turned that on its head. So I'll show you. So this is Francis, TikTok's king, and he's a train spotter, and he has reached such levels of fame. He's been on Good Morning Britain and things like that, and he's got 1.6 million followers, but his views per video can go up to 20 million. So this video has 8 million views.
I'm train spotting on the West Coast Main Line today, hoping to see some pendolinos bank around the corner at 125 miles an hour. Here we go. Wave. Waving. Oh, there's two. Oh, crossover.
And it continues like that for another 20 odd seconds. So it's a niche area, but people love it. And 20 million views on a video, when you compare that to other platforms, is crazy. So this guy is called the pool guy. So his job is to clean swimming pools, right? And that's all he does. And he's got like the most deadpan approach. He's like, all right, guys, we're here to clean a pool. Like no energy whatsoever. And people love him. He's got 12 million followers. And this video has 100 million views, right? And it's just him pouring cleaning agent into a pool. But he does have some funny noises. So maybe that's, you know, pushed it up a bit. Oh, let's watch. So yeah, it's like that for another a minute. So it's just him putting content into a pool. Often it's stuff like him cleaning algae and pulling weird plants and stuff like that. But that's the content, and he's got 12 million followers. I don't know if 12 million people before were interested in pool cleaning, but that's the nature of TikTok. So some science-specific channels that work well. I'm a big fan of the Institute for Human Anatomy, which is a facility in Utah. And it has, its account has 8.2 million followers, and it also does really well on YouTube as well. And it easily reaches around, you know, up to 1 million views per video. It has playlists, so you can explore different systems in the body, depending on which one you want to explore. And it's a more traditional format of creating content, so it's not really engaging with the memes or the sounds. So they use real human cadavers to provide educational content. Oh, let's play.
You're looking at the posterior side of a right lung, and if we come in close, you can see that we have a cross-section of the windpipe or trachea, as well as a cross-section of the larynx or your voice box. And you can see these darkened areas. These are all going to be cartilaginous tissue, as well as this flappy.
So it continues on, and it will teach you all the structures of the body, and it's really good and really interesting. And yeah, it doesn't try and fit into memes or humor. It's just really good, engaging content. This is someone else who is called Lab Shenanigans, but he does use the memes and humor of TikTok, and it's still amazing content. So he's a biochem graduate in the US called Darian, and he has 500,000 followers. And he makes funny content using the viral sounds, but it is also educational. So I'll show you.
And were you nervous doing that?
You know what? I was nervous for my second performance. For my first performance, I was like, party with Cardi. Yeah.
Watched that many times, but still love it. And this is another one. So he does content not just about science in general, but also the culture around science.
Ooh, this is nice. Girl, this audience is you right here? Okay. They don't smell like roaches in here or nothing. This is so nice. And look at this, girl.
So you can see that content about science can follow multiple formats and still do really well. So if you're thinking about starting your own channel, here are some tips. So you've got to think first, who is your target audience? That's the same for any social media channel. And you have to think about, okay, is it the same that is using the TikTok app? So we know now that 60% of the users are Gen Z, and you can find other breakdowns such as location, education, audience, etc. So you got to make sure that, like we heard yesterday, you know, it's not about forcing people to the science, it's bringing the science to the people. So you have to make sure that, yeah, the people you want to join, you want to reach are already there. And what do you want to achieve? So this is more specific to commercial brands, but do you want to achieve brand recognition, or do you want to provide educational content, funny content? It's important to think about what you want to achieve, because that will tailor how you do it. And also, what resources do you have? You saw videos there that are quite high quality, you know, look almost professional, but you've also seen videos that are basically some guy, you know, miming towards a video sound in his room. So what resources do you have, and how can you tailor what you can produce to that? And how many ideas do you have? TikTok is a fast-paced app. If you want to grow your audience, you're going to be looking at posting a couple of times a week at least. So have you got an audience time to continue to engage with that audience? And what will your content schedule look like? You know, do you want to post once a week? Do you have time to post once a week? Do you have the resources to do that? And what are your comms strategies around promotion, crisis management, and exit strategy? So this is something that if your organization has a comms team, it's worth consulting with them to help you think about those issues. And also security considerations, because it's a predominantly mobile phone based app. You need to think about, well, who's going to be accessing it and posting, and what security considerations do you have for making sure passwords and things like that, all of the practicalities that come with digital comms nowadays. But if you decided, yeah, I want to start my own TikTok, many organizations aren't on TikTok yet, so it will give you an edge. And it's definitely something to try and get ahead of the curve with. And I would always recommend just explore the app yourself, you know, download it, spend a few hours an evening, you'll find time goes very quickly, and see what works and what doesn't, and what content you find really enjoyable. So keeping up to date with trends is important, but it's not vital. You know, like you can go down the route of the Institute of Anatomy and just produce really high quality educational content, or you can try and piggyback on those trends a little bit and make your content funny and engaging. But you don't have to be exclusive to each idea either. And keep in mind your targets. So think, well, okay, are we going to try and get a lot of views? Are we going to try and get an engaged audience? Do we want people to comment and ask questions? So have some targets in mind, but don't be afraid to change them as you find what works well and what doesn't work well, and you know how your audiences are responding to that. And don't take yourself too seriously. It's a app primarily for Gen Z and below, and it's meant to be fun. And trial and error is key, and it's the same with any social media platform. See what works, see what doesn't, and don't beat yourself up if it doesn't. It's just giving you data to know how to do better in the future. And content can be used for other platforms too. Instagram especially has noticed the trend of portrait videos doing really well, and then they have launched their reels. So you can take your content that you filmed on your phone, that's in portrait mode, and put it on Instagram, for example, or even edit it down to different dimensions if you have that, to put on Twitter and Facebook. But yeah, that was a very quick tour of TikTok. And if you have any questions, let me know and I'll try and answer them. But I hope that was informative and engaging, and you had a bit of a laugh as well. So thank you. I will stop sharing my screen now.
And thank you very much, Philippa. That was pretty exciting, to be honest. So yeah, TikTok has definitely grown quite rapidly in the last few years, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy. Like 1 billion users, it just blows your mind. I can't even comprehend that amount of people.
I mean, I can't wait to get onto, was it Drain Talk after this?
You need a strong stomach for Drain Talk, though.
Okay, sure enough.
Lunch.
Fair enough. Okay, so we've got a few more minutes now. So if any of you have any questions for Philippa, please feel free to add these questions into the chat on Zoom. Or if you'd like to ask your questions verbally, just use the raise hand function on Zoom, and I'll be able to unmute you so you can ask your question. But please remember, this session is being recorded, though. We'll see if any questions come up, but before they do, I've got one for myself, actually, Philippa. You talked about brands and brand recognition in your talk. Do you, or have you seen any brands that have used TikTok really well, for example, in the last couple of months?
So glad you asked, Ragnar. I've got some slides I can show you, actually.
Oh, you do? Fantastic.
I picked these out because I didn't want, in case it overran, but I can show you if I share my screen again. Can I share my screen again?
Should be able to.
It's not coming up again. I don't know how to do that. Stop video, hide self view. I don't want to do these things. Share screen. Oh, I think it's because one participant can share at a time. Oh no, it's me. It's me. Sorry. Hear me talking about digital engagement, and I'm completely illiterate sometimes. Right. Can you see that?
We can see that.
Okay, let's not start from the beginning. That's ridiculous. But yeah. So case study, Duolingo. So Duolingo is the language learning app, and they started by trying to do educational content. So this is a guy talking about Russian language, for example.
Hi, my name is Nikki, and today I'm gonna teach you some Russian slang. In Russia, we love saying one word when we experience an extreme level of satisfaction. Let's say you have a first.
Okay, you'll have to find out the word yourself. But they were doing okay. It was getting like 100,000 views, but it wasn't really tapping into, per followers, how well it could have been doing. So they completely changed their tactic and just jumped on the viral bandwagon and post basically unhinged content.
Maybe we got lost in translation. Maybe I asked for too much.
So, and then their views skyrocketed to the point where like it became an in-joke, like the company was like, what are you doing? So, yeah, like it's crazy because what they've seen has been, a shift from we're going to try and do educational content and it's great, but it's not really doing what we want it to achieve. And they're like, well, what do we want to achieve? And you can see they've started to think, well, actually, we just want brand recognition. It's clear that people aren't going to be going on the app, seeing our videos and wanting to learn a language. There's a lot of different barriers to that. So they've completely shifted their approach to TikTok and just gone, let's get brand up. So when people think, oh, I want to learn a language, they know which platform to go to. And I think that's really interesting because it clearly has, it's clearly paid off for them. So Toby has sent me a question privately, and he's asked me, talk about some of the potential pitfalls of TikTok that people need to be aware of. Yeah, so there are any challenges with an app for social media, like every other social media app. TikTok, because it has such a young audience, clearly has, challenges, and you need to think about, my content needs to be family friendly. And there are going to be areas of TikTok which has content that is harmful. I know like eating disorder talk can become quite prevalent sometimes, depending on what's out there. And it is something the app is trying to actively curtail. So that is something to be aware of. But if your content is, family friendly, science and joyful, it shouldn't be too worrying, but it's always good to be aware of those issues, as it is with any social media platform you're working on, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, etc.
That definitely makes sense. Thanks, Toby, for that question. I think that was quite similar to Sophie's question about negatives in using TikTok for engagement purposes. So I think you've covered that as well, Philippa. I've got a few questions coming up, but I'm seeing we've got a minute left. So I'm going to ask you one more question from Sarah, I think. Do you think TikTok would be difficult to use for science organizations? Because there seems to be kind of a humor element, seems to be the driver. There seems to be a push for humor on TikTok. Do you think that's the direction science organizations should be going for as well?
100% is that it can be difficult. And I think the humor element is what's stopping a lot of organizations doing it entirely. There are some brands that have tried and they've become viral hits because people are laughing at them, not with them, which, still achieves that engagement if that's your targets. But I think because of the giant platform, it's worth giving it a go and just being clear from the outset, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But if it does work, you've got 100 million people watching a guy empty bags of salt into a pool, like you've got the potential for a massive audience if you do it right. And if you don't, you can go back to the drawing board and try again. But it's definitely worth giving it a go.
Sure, fantastic. I mean, there definitely seems to be an audience for everything out there, so fantastic.